All right, good evening. Welcome back to JPCE Spiritual Talk. Jared Campbell. So this evening's news, current events. Thank you all for coming back. Without further ado, we're just going to go ahead and jump right into this, get right to it. This evening, I'm going to try something a little different. Somebody gave me a tip, a comment on one of the videos, and said if I try muting some of the videos, right, it will help not getting a strike. So I'm going to try that this evening. So there's a few videos I've already kind of looked at what we're going to look at. So some of the videos will play, and then when I get to the ones that I know, the rest of the videos will be muted there on out. So just to let some of you know, some will have sound, and then probably as we get closer to the end, most of those videos won't have sound, right? We'll try that. Without further ado, thank you all. I like showing the videos because it's important that you all know what's going on, right? I'd rather read a little bit and really show you the videos, right? Because the videos really hit home. You know, they show more than just reading, right? But I always put the links in the description box so you can read the articles, right? As you can tell, I kind of just hit the highlights, right? But the videos really bring them home. So without further ado, jump into this. Love you all so much. Thanks for coming back. The true definition of ministry is to serve someone else's will. This evening shouldn't take too long this evening. I already kind of scoped some of it out, but we'll see. All right, so there we go. All right, so French senators blast Macron. We have lost all of Africa. Thousands besieged the French base in Niger. Wagner, save us. France out. All right. See videos and pictures. That's what we're about to do. So French senators are blasting Emmanuel Macron in a letter. As they say, France during his days has lost all of Africa. In fact, they'll have huge implications for its status as a regional superpower. The loss of Africa implies a rapid degradation of France. So protesters besieged a French base, called on French troops to leave the country while chanting, "Down with France, down with ECOWAS." Many of them were holding flags of Russia, Wagner, and Prigozhin, while one citizen was holding a placer that read, "Wagner, protect us." Right. Right, let's look at this one. So a letter of French senators, Macron. 94 French senators wrote an open letter to the French president, Emmanuel Macron, in which they focus on the failures that Paris foreign policy in Africa has led to over the years. Le Figaro newspaper reports, as the French edition notes, anti-French sentiments on the continent have been intensifying throughout this time, as a result of which the influence of the countries such as China, Russia, and the United States have increased. The French senators improvised that yesterday's French Africa is being replaced by a military Russia Africa, an economic Chinese Africa, and a diplomatic American Africa. Here's what the letter from the legislators of the Open House, the Parliament, the French Republic states. In recent years, we have been constantly asking the same question about our country's place and the role in Africa. Today, not only Niger, but Mali and the Central African Republic and Burkina Faso have turned their backs on France. After the failure of the French intervention in Africa in 2014, the Wagner Group came to Africa. Those countries whose leaders unite the population of their countries against the former colonial power. Anti-French demonstrators are also taking place in countries considered friendly to Paris, such as the Ivory Coast of Senegal. There are also problems in North Africa. Algerian President Tebboune, on the one hand, talks about rapprochement with Paris and then consistently postpone official visit. On the other hand, talks about the French great Satan responsible for all the suffering of the Algerian people. Africa, a friendly continent, no longer understands France is and increasingly questioning its role and presence. Isn't it time to rethink our vision of Africa and its connection with France? Asked the French president senators. So U.S. and French support for ECOWAS military intervention. All right, so as we can see, things are definitely heating up in Africa. All right, so let's go back out. So expanded U.S.-Ukraine War Council to freeze the conflict with the Uskal River border, or the Russians will take Kharkiv and reach the Dnieper. Ukrainians have no fortifications to hold back a Russian counterattack. As the Expanded Council of War has been convened by the U.S. government on Ukraine, the course of the war against the background of so far failed counteroffensive. The entire high command of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, the leadership of Ukraine's special services participated in the teleconference. According to Russian media, the second stage of the counterattack by Armed Forces of Ukraine is probably reaching a dead end. Otherwise, what is the point of the Americans initiating the expanding online meeting, the military leadership of the United States and Ukraine? They wonder. Expanded U.S.-Ukraine War Council. Head of the Office of the President of Ukraine spoke about the event, calling the composition of participants in the meeting unprecedented. From Washington, the meeting was attended by the head Pentagon, Lloyd Austin, and the head of the U.S. Joint Chief of Staff, Mark Milley, and the U.S. President's National Security Advisor, Jake Sullivan. Jeez. Front, defense, and attack. These are the key questions now upon which victory depends. We are very focused on this, wrote the head of Zelensky's office. NATO wants to freeze the conflict in Uskal, otherwise Dnieper. NATO analysts are considering the option of deleting the actual border between the Russian Federation, Ukraine along the Dnieper River in the south, and along the Uskal River in the east, Russian media reported. The CIA analysts, the Russians will reach the Dnieper. So according to CIA analysts, the Russians will reach the Dnieper. Former CIA analyst Ray McGovern expressed a similar opinion in an interview with Garland Nixon. After the failure of the offensive by the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Russian President Putin ordered his troops to launch a counteroffensive during which they will expand the zone of control near the Dnieper. Former CIA analyst Ray McGovern said in an interview with American radio media. When the counteroffensive of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, with all its reserves, is completely submerged, I think somewhere in 2 to 3 weeks, what will be Putin's next step. Somewhere in the mid-August, a month or two before the mussies, and he will have complete freedom of action to reach the diner for himself. Will do, I think so, said the expert. All right, so Operation Lightning with satellite, an EW, KH-470 47M2. Kinzhal destroyed German patriots in Kyiv. Ukrainian radar saw Max 7.5 missiles everywhere. How the operation of Russian Air Force took place. Russia media are talking about a large Russian operation during which German Patriot air defense system was destroyed by KH-47M2 Kinzhal. Several services of the Russian Ministry of Defense participated in the operation. It is the first time that the Russians have released this kind of information. Massacre seems to confirm this fact. The Turkish press writes about the same with the reference to data from intelligence services, how the Russian business came to be. On August 11th, powerful explosions occurred at the Urozain airport near Kyiv. Shortly before, Ukrainian military sources and media reported that several MiG-31K fighters of the Russian aerospace forces took off firing hypersonic Kinzhal missiles against Ukrainian targets. According to Turkish information sources citing intelligence, the Patriot air defense systems had just been transferred to this base by the German armed forces. The Russian media reports about it. Everything happened very quickly. The acquisition of high-quality imagery was accompanied by the Signet Lit operation. In fact, Patriot gunnery at airfield was doomed. So here's a tweet by Black Diamond. Turkish sources are reporting that a Patriot surface-to-air missile, SAM, system stationed at Kyiv's Urozain airport, which was transferred by Germany, was destroyed by a Russian using a hypersonic Kinzhal cruise missile. Yesterday, a loud explosion was heard in Kyiv. Today, Turkish sources report Russian Kinzhal that destroyed another Patriot air defense system deployed at the Kyiv and Zolnany airport given to Ukraine by Germany. Ukrainian air forces radars were filled with supersonic Kinzhal operation to mislead the Russians. Ukrainians add that the Kinzhals were either launched from a northern direction or were the work of electronic warfare system. Later, the spokesman of Ukrainian Air Force, Ignat, confirmed that the Russian armed forces simulated launches of hypersonic Kinzhal with the help of electronic warfare. They were spotted flying in the northern regions of the country. So here's a tweet from Peacemaker. Today, local time, 4 Kinzhal hypersonic missiles were fired from MiG-31K fighters all over the Lipstick region. A Russian Federation hypersonic missiles hit. So airport was bombed. Ukrainian staff confirms the hit of 3 Kinzhal missiles in the Avano region. So, moving on. All right, this is where some of these videos are going to start picking up now. The first few of these will have sound, and then after that, they will be muted from here on out. All right, so it says Russian soldiers. Massacre is taking place in Urozain. Ukrainians keep throwing waves of infantry. Kyiv sacrificed 2 brigades for 2 settlements. That just doesn't make any sense. You're just throwing bodies at that point. The Ukrainians are desperate for a win to make up for the defeat in Kupiansk. The Ukrainian army is preparing to announce its second major victory on the Zaporizhzhia front. As they enter the settlement of Urozain, Ukrainians sacrificed 2 brigades for 2 settlements in 2 months. Urozain is Starmistor. All right, so let's get to these videos. All right, so battle from the front line. Russian soldiers defend their trenches.
Ой, блядь.
So Ukrainians tried to save themselves, just shot down by Bradley. All right, I'm going to make sure it's all muted. All right. Should be all ready to go. Russian sources, Massacre going on in Urozain. Ukrainians keep sending waves of infantry. In the Pacific sector of the front, positioned at the junction, the Zaporizhzhia South Donetsk regions, units of the Vostok troop group and the Cascade OBTIF are fighting. Military sources report on the fighting in the area. So Ukrainian convoy blows up in Zaporizhzhia.
Пацаны, Мэджик пристрелен, блядь. Все, успокоились.
So our enemy is outnumbered. We are losing. Urozain. The enemy overpowered us. We are losing the settlement. For several days, we withstood his attack, but somewhere there was a failure. We're still resisting, but the situation is not in our favor. The enemy already tried to raise the flag in the village council, but it was blown up. The artillery got busy and they retreated, but it's only a matter of time. Although the capture of this village will cost the enemy a great price, its loss after such heroic resistance is painful to us. 3 Ukraine. So that was from the soldiers of the Vostok battalion reported that. Right? So 3 Ukrainians take burns after failed counterattack in Zaporizhia. On Wednesday, they entered Urozain. During the latest attacks on Wednesday, the 35th Marine Brigade of the Armed Forces of Ukraine was able to break into the outskirts of Urozain. After suffering heavy losses, then the artillery caught fire. Artillery from both sides plowed the neighborhood of Urozain, so much that some positions were abandoned by us, but the enemy did not dare to enter and stay in them, said the fighters of the Dunstek Vostok battalion. Until Tuesday, Ukrainian army was unable to enter the village itself, but approached and then came under heavy artillery fire. From 04 in the morning, the armed forces of Ukraine and small groups of 2 to 3 people from different sides tried to enter houses and suburbs and regain a foothold. They succeeded, but with heavy losses. In general, the situation has developed so far that shows if we don't want to give it, we don't give it. Meanwhile, Ukrainian military analysts report fierce fighting for the village of Urozain continues. From Stomalika to Urozain, the Russians are moving additional forces for counterattacks. The artillery of the armed forces of Ukraine is working intensively. Video: the entry of Ukrainians into Urozain settlement. It's about a 3-minute video. All right, so that was a video that entered the Ukrainians at the Urozain settlement. So video, Ukrainian stormtroopers called for rescue. Their armored car was hit. So here's some maps right here. So here's a map of what's probably going on right there in the Urozain. We'll try to zoom in the best we can. So the blue obviously is Ukraine, the red is Russia, right? It shows what in advance of the Ukrainians right in here. All right, so we're zoom in right here. Here's a better look at it right there. All right. All right. All right, so now I'm going to head over to Telegram, and then we're going to get out of here for this evening. Show a few more updates on Telegram. So thank you all again. I hope the muting goes a little better. All right, so over to Telegram. There we go. All right, so I'm going to start with the mirror. So it says smoke clouds near the Crimean Bridge. Traffic is blocked. It's reported about the work of our air defense system shot down 2 Ukrainian missiles. The Crimean Bridge is said to have been undamaged, and traffic on the bridge will resume in the near future. House afloat a street due to a flood somewhere there in Russia, right? I think a dam broke.
Ребят, каждый день такой.
So the Hawaii wildfire death toll now hits 80. Here's a picture of some of the devastation. It's crazy. 33 Syrian soldiers were killed by ISIS that blew up their bus. All right, so that's all the updates there. Let's hit here. All right, let's see what we got. So breaking, Ukraine, Russia army was hit. It's something to do with a military base, about 30-second video.
Просто...
Дальше ответь, братан, ты там встань.
Пошли, поможем. Пошли быстрее. Давай, давай. Наум идет.
says the Indian Army is preparing for combat readiness in the disputed Ladakh region, Himalayas, amid tensions with China. So China, the PLA, is in full swing in preparations for a war scenario in Asia. According to footage, the PLA National Defense University Joint Operations Command Academy simulated integrated command and control exercise. The People's Liberation Army of China footage that is believed to be a theater unit to prepare for combat readiness.
A 岛东南方向400海里发现一批船只，一批3艘，属性不明。
核实运动要素，
好，回国挺强。
那他这现在目的性很强了。
军用水面舰艇编队，
对，
抓紧按院调整兵力布置，令长岛部队做好战斗准备。
人才准备是最艰巨、最核心的军事斗争准备。我们面临的下一场战争是基于网络信息体系的联合作战，必须锻造一支高素质的联合作战指挥人才队伍。
要走从这个松岛机场，
对，水公里数有5架直升机高速机动，
加强对敌直升机的电磁干扰。
I'm going to show y'all something else that China is doing. Hold on. So the end time, Russia's situation in that region of Russia is out of control after a dam had collapsed. So a dam had collapsed. Look at all that. Here we go. World War III information. So Chinese PLA ground forces building a mysterious giant field hospital at an unknown location in preparation for an upcoming war. The military hospital consists of several modules that can be relocated at any time. Let's take a look at this.
新被捕捉。
So the U.S. Navy assault group along the amphibious landing ship U.S. Dad passed the Suez Canal towards the Arabian Gulf to secure the strategic important waterway after Iran kidnapped some oil tanker in the region. The development of the task force's aim to detour Russia and Iranian steps to control the entire Middle East. All right, so what else before I close out? So breaking the ships, the Northern Fleet, escorted by fighters, will carry out military missions in the Arctic, Russian Defense Ministry. So here's that dam busting in Russia.
В квартире все уже тонет. Вешалкой тон в воде. Шумок поднимался, но все утонуло. КамАЗ пожарников.
All right, so I think that's probably going to do us So I'm gonna go ahead and close out. Thank you all again. For following. All right, so we're gonna close out. So a lot going on, right? Things heating up. Like I said, I still think by the fall it's gonna get a lot worse by fall. I think everything, whether it's war, food shortages, things like that, I think it's gonna continue to get worse by fall. Probably more food shortages, especially here in the U.S. Gas is gonna continue to skyrocket, especially here in the U.S. Right, and probably everywhere else. Right, I can only speak for the U.S. But I think by fall it's gonna be a lot worse for everybody around the world. Right. You look at the times that we're in, the signs of the times, right? Look at this, all this weather, bad weather, right? Out of the ordinary weather as well, too, right? Something's definitely going on, right? Most of it is explained in Matthew chapter 24, right? You read all of Matthew chapter 24, great read, right? Talks a little bit of everything. So I encourage all of you to read Matthew chapter 24. Right? Good read. Without further ado, let's close out. Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. May the Lord bless you, keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you, be merciful to you. The Lord let the his countenance upon you and give you peace. In the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, now and forever. Sages. Amen. So it's Jerry Wesley Campbell. All right. Love you all so much. Thank you all for following. JPCE Spiritual Talk. Never ever hold back. Right. Seek truth. All right. Love you all so much.